Hey, I'm Jeff the Junk Seller, and this presentation I'm going to make about one of my recent epic failures, it gives a little bit of the background of what I was doing before I really got into the antiques and stuff. When I first started out selling down in Texas, I'd been flea marketing up in Oklahoma for a little while, and it was very tough for me to make any money up there. But I ended up coming down here. I found something on the internet about the Highway 11 sale. I did that one and learned about the Highway 80 sale while I was there. And I wound up making it to the Highway 80 sale. I found a place to set up, and I made a terrible pick about where to set up. I've made friends with the fellas that own that place since then, but uh, I wasn't doing well at that sale, and I bailed on it. I think it was on Saturday. I contacted a Facebook friend that I know shops a lot in the Dallas area, and I asked him, "Hey, where's the sale? I'm doing horrible out here," and he told me about a number of them, and the one that I picked was probably the worst pick that I could have made was Cleburne, and I went there on Sunday, and I didn't do but maybe $150 worth of business, but I met a guy there that was able to put me into food stuff, and I started buying this stuff through him. He was getting it. I believe it came from a company called Coremark. Anytime the candy bars and gum and potato chip displays in a vending or in a convenience store, anytime they face up those displays, they have a whole bunch of the stuff that if it's a partial box, they just throw it away, or they put it in a container and take it back to the warehouse. And they put this stuff in these huge pallets, and you can buy it by the pallet load. Well, at the time, I think about 15 cases of beef jerky was costing me like $500, and 35 cases of food, candy bars, chewing gum, that this kind of stuff was costing me $300. So I could get a virtual van load of food for $800. And I would go around to these little markets, and I'd at least have my display case out with coins and jewelry and that kind of stuff. But I would sell this food stuff, and I would shop these markets at the same time that I was selling food stuff, and it was pretty profitable. $800 load of food could pay me $4,000, $4,500 before it was too show worn. I would box this stuff up and just go set it on the sidewalk out by a homeless shelter, and come back later, a couple hours later, and there'd be wrappers everywhere. But it was um, it was a pretty good business, and I quit doing it. COVID happened. During COVID. I came up. I worked up a plan. I had worked up this plan going into COVID, where I would travel around and I would put on on Facebook Marketplace ahead of like a week or two ahead of me arriving in a small town. I would put on there that I was buying old photos, old postcards, stamp collections, coins, paper money, this kind of stuff, and then I would put on my ads for food stuff. And I would have all these appointments lined up before I even got into town to sell food and to buy stuff. And that was working really good. And I put together a book of people in different towns, because sometimes I would go into the town and I would be invited to recontact these people. And I would contact them and tell them, hey, I'm going to be in town in a couple of weeks. And they would get their money together and come out and make, a 80 or $100 purchase with me as soon as I got into town. And this was working really well. I was able to locate a bunch of really good stuff, and I was able to sell food, and I was making pretty good money at it. But something happened during COVID, and after COVID, I came out and I started up with this again, and it was doing really well. Um, People were having food security issues, and I'm selling candy bars that are $3 at the grocery store, and I'm selling them two for $1, and I was making a killing on that stuff, and people were running to me and spending all kinds of money with me. But something happened, and I wouldn't. I was. They started prohibiting the sale of food on Facebook Marketplace, and as that was coming into effect, whenever I would sell stuff on Facebook Marketplace, I would have these crazies just contact me, and they would post stuff all over my posts saying that they saw me digging this stuff out of the garbage and all kinds of stuff. I was actually buying this from the distributor, and I was on the same supply chain that a lot of food banks are on. But anyway, I kind of got tired of that business, and I just it got to where I had sourced enough material, I had enough back stock, and I moved my storage units down to Texas, where I did most of my sales, and I just didn't need to sell food anymore. And people, they got crazy about the Best Buy date. Everybody thought that it was an expiration date or some kind of crazy nonsense. But I just got tired of the argument about all that. But I got out of the food business, and but I still had the contact. And I was out at Canton. This was March, I think it was March 28th of this year. And some vendors had told me that the Lewises were going to allow us to set up at the flea market free of charge. That there was the eclipse. I bought into all the hype about the solar eclipse, and the rumor was we were supposed to have thousands of people come to the flea market, and there was, I'm looking at this situation. I'm thinking if we've got this many RVs parked on the place, they're not going to be able to get out and get anything. So I hurried up, I hustled up, called my buddy, told him that I needed a load of food. It cost me $900. I went out and got half a pallet of jerky and a pallet of food stuff, and I got that stuff out there. I was out there. I was out there early. Even we made it happen, and spent $900 on that. I had about $1,800 to my name. By the time transportation and everything, I was in for about $1,100. But I got set up out there. There was a tractor show going on at the same time in a couple of the pavilions. But I get set up out there, and I just spent $900 on all this food. I sold maybe $20 worth of stuff to a couple of other vendors and to the guys that collect the garbage for the market out there. It never happened that we had any RVs come out there for Lewis First Mondays. But in the time since then, I'm still sitting on some of that stuff. It's 8 months later. I still got a bunch of that stuff, but I've been giving it away. I have a couple of pickers that they have a hard time making ends meet, and I'll make up a couple of boxes of food and just go and drop it off to them. And sometimes I have somebody that I just meet that is I'll find somebody that's out panhandling for money, and I'll go and get them a box full of this stuff. But I think that I'm almost through with giving that stuff away. I think I'm almost out of it. But I cracked away $900. I just knew that when I went and got this stuff that I'd be able to set up out there, and because we were right in the path of the totality. I bought the hype, and I was able to set up for no cost at all. But it was just an absolute disaster. And it's not the only time. I think that's about the biggest money that I've ever just screwed up with. But it's not all unicorns and rainbows. I thought that I'd be able to set up and make $3,000 or $4,000. That I'd be able to flip my money from $1,100 in cost to $3 or $400 or $3 or $4,000 and be happy about it. At the time, I needed a new van, and I thought that I was going to be able to do it with this, but that is that's part of the life of a venture capitalist. It's not called risk if you always win, and don't always win. But if you've appreciated this presentation, please give it a like. If you did, then view some of my other content, and if you enjoy that, please subscribe. And thank you for viewing.